After ousted former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch's October 11th closed-door testimony before Congress was released to the public Monday, many questions arise. There were questions about her security. On page 126 of her testimony, Ambassador Yovanovitch tells how Carol Perez, Director General of the State Department, warned her that there is, quote, a lot of concern for me, that I needed to be on the next plane home to Washington. And I was like, what? What happened? And she said, I don't know, but this is about your security. You need to come home immediately. You need to come home on the next plane. And I said, physical security? I mean, is there something going on here in the Ukraine? Because sometimes Washington has intel or something else that we don't necessarily know. And she said, no, I didn't get that impression, but you need to come back immediately. And I mean, I argued with her. I told her I thought it was really unfair that she was pulling me out of a post without any explanation. I mean, really none, and so summarily. Question: did she give you an explanation for why it had to be so soon? Answer: she said it was for my security, that this was for my well-being. People were concerned. Question: what did you understand that to mean? Yovanovitch: I didn't know because she didn't say, but my assumption was that, something had happened, some conversations or something, and that, now it was important that I had to leave immediately because I didn't really know. To top it off, Ambassador Yovanovitch felt threatened by President Donald Trump. The July 25th phone call between President Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky figured into her testimony. On page 192, the testimony reads, question: President Trump said, the former ambassador from the United States, the woman, was bad news, and the people she was dealing with in the Ukraine were bad news. I just want to let you know that. Did you see that? Yovanovitch: yes. Question: what was your reaction when you saw that? Yovanovitch: again, I hate to be repetitive, but I was shocked. I mean, I was very surprised that President Trump would, first of all, that I would feature repeatedly in a presidential phone call. But secondly, that the president would speak about me or any ambassador in that way to a foreign counterpart. Question: at the bottom of that same page, President Trump says, well, she's going to go through some things. What did you understand that to mean? Yovanovitch: I didn't know what that meant. I was very concerned. I still am. Question: did you feel threatened? Yovanovitch: yes. Ambassador Yovanovitch's testimony stands in stark contrast to President Trump's assertion on the South Lawn of the White House Monday afternoon before heading to Kentucky. He was asked by a reporter if Marie Yovanovitch is the target of a smear campaign by your allies. She testified she was. The president replied,
I really don't know her, but if you look at the transcripts, the president of Ukraine was not a fan of hers either. I mean, he did not exactly say glowing things. I'm sure she's a very fine woman. I just don't know much about her.
I really didn't know her, but if you look at the transcripts, the president of Ukraine was not a fan of hers either. I mean, he did not exactly say glowing things. I'm sure she's a very fine woman. I just don't know much about her. Additionally, Gordon Sondland, the U.S. ambassador to the European Union and a major Trump donor, recommended that Yovanovitch tweet her praise of President Trump. Yovanovitch testified, he said, you need to go big or go home. You need to, tweet out that you support the president and that all these are lies and everything else. And I mean, obviously, that was advice. It was advice that I did not see how I could implement in my role as an ambassador and as a Foreign Service officer. Question: did he actually say support President Trump? Was that his advice, that you publicly say something to that effect? Of Yovanovitch: yes, I mean, he may not have used the words support President Trump, but he said, the president well. Maybe you don't know him personally, but you know the sorts of things that he likes. Go out there battling aggressively and, praise him or support him. During Monday's presser, Trump was also asked about Rudy Giuliani's role.
But you have to take a look at the transcript because the president of Ukraine was not favorably inclined.
Funny enough, this is the same answer President Trump gave me a day earlier when I asked about the dual competing agendas for Ukraine, the State Department's versus Rudy Giuliani's.
Read the transcript.
To ask you, though.
Read the transcript.
But it says I have no.
Read the transcript.
His answer also seems suspect, as Ambassador Yovanovitch had testified that Giuliani, who was the president's lawyer, played a central role in her ouster. Question: when did you first become aware that Rudy Giuliani had an interest in or was communicating with anyone in Ukraine? Yovanovitch: probably around November, December timeframe of 2018. Question: and describe those circumstances when you first learned about it. Yovanovitch: basically it was people in the Ukrainian government who said that Mr. Yuri Lutsenko, the former prosecutor general of Ukraine, was in communication with Mayor Giuliani and that they had plans and that they were going to, do things, including to me. Question: so you first heard about it from Ukrainian officials? Yovanovitch: that's correct. At another point, Ambassador Yovanovitch stated that Ukrainian Minister Arsen Avakov had warned her that he was very concerned about Mr. Giuliani and told me I really needed to watch my back. Question: describe that conversation. Yovanovitch: well, he basically said and went into some detail that there were two individuals from Florida, Mr. Parnas and Mr. Furman. Yeah, those guys. She continues that they were working with Mayor Giuliani and that they had set up the meetings for Mr. Giuliani and Mr. Lutsenko, and that they were interested in having a different ambassador at the post. I guess because they wanted to have business dealings in Ukraine or additional business dealings. I didn't understand that because nobody in the embassy had ever met those two. And one of the biggest jobs of an American ambassador of the U.S. Embassy is to promote U.S. business. So of course, if legitimate business comes to us, that's what we do. We promote U.S. business. Question: so did you deduce or infer or come to learn that the business interests that they were there for not legitimate? Yovanovitch: honestly, I didn't know. I didn't know enough about it at the time. I thought it was exceedingly strange. Doug Christian, The White House.